So if you need a VPN, go Nord. Use nordvpn.com/Kimber to get a huge discount off your Nord VPN plan plus 4 additional months for free. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the show notes. Protect your computer like a cricketer protects its nether region with NordVPN today.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 4 of Crick Picks, in which I, Behram Kazi, who you can find on Twitter at DefMango, along with Estelle Vasudevan, who you can find at Estelle_Vasude1, and Jarrod Kimber, you can find absolutely everywhere. We're going to pick our top 5 for any random cricket category, and it has been quite random thus far. We've done World Cups, we've done cricket kits, and then we've also done, what was the last one, guys?
Commentators,
of course. The real controversial one.
2 minutes ago. Like, everyone's going to realize we're wearing the same clothes. We should have changed clothes, like TV game shows.
We definitely would have, or should have. But anyway, the topic for this particular episode is current test match spinners. And as always, we're going to have a snake draft. Whoever starts will then go sixth. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. And that's how we oscillate. If you've ever played fantasy, you know what we're talking about. If you haven't, you'll find out. Anyway, Estelle has the first pick, which is quite an easy pick for best test spinners who are currently playing. So take it away, Estelle.
Yeah, I mean, no surprise. It has to be Ashwin, right?
I'm so disappointed she didn't bottle this.
Who are you expecting me to pick? A Sri Lankan? No.
Oh, no, it had to be Ashwin, but because it's you, I just wasn't sure. You've not got a great history of first picks, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. So anyway, Ashwin's number 1. I mean, anyone who's watching this probably knows, you can look up his record. He's been good overseas. He's been good at home. It's kind of weird how few games they play him. It's kind of incredible that he can be this good and yet he doesn't get picked in some really important games. Like he didn't play the World Test Championship final this time. So I think by far the best current spinner in the world.
Also, I think the most skilled and intelligent spinner in the world. Like Estelle said, someone who has 489 test wickets in 94 tests at 23.65 apiece should be playing the majority of all games that India play in test match cricket. So yeah, fantastic point over there. All right. Who's next?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
You have nothing to say about Ashwin.
Well, I mean, he was always going to go number 1, wasn't he?
Yeah.
We were all pretty sure about that one. I'm going to go Jadeja as number 2. Oh, he's not sure, Behram. Look at that. He's.
I mean, I was expecting a different spinner to be picked as number 2.
I just think if you go through Jadeja's overall figures, that I think it would be. I mean, obviously he's been absolutely brilliant at home. I don't think any of us have, got any issues with how good he has been at home. But is he not just? He's still a more than good spinner. When he's traveling as well. And I find it very hard to think that there is a better spinner than him over the last few years that isn't Ashwin. There's obviously another there's another player that's right at the top of that list that you go as well. But I just think that Jadeja is the second best spinner. I don't think it's really that controversial. When we go through it, I'm just trying to have a look now. Let me have a look at this. He's averaged less than 30 away from India in the last 5 years. He hasn't played a lot in some of those games, of course, as well. Maybe I'm weighting it slightly towards his batting, but I think that there are on flat pitches, I think there's slightly better spinners than him that you could pick. But I think he's so much better when the wicket is turning and when it's in his advantage than any other spinner, that I think he's my number 2.
Yeah, and I mean, he does have 275 test wickets in 67 tests. So average of 24 odd, that's pretty good. So, I mean, it isn't as controversial as some people might make it to be, but I was still surprised.
You think it's controversial? So I thought it was.
I don't think so. I think people will think it's controversial.
I can't. Okay. Well, who's your pick at 3? Because you're obviously going to pick the player I didn't pick.
Yeah, of course. And in the words of Tim Payne, nice, Gaza. I'm going with Nathan Lyon.
Would you have picked Lyon above Jadeja?
I think you would have, right?
I would have picked Lyon above Jadeja because I think it's harder to take wickets where Lyon plays his cricket. And sure, 496 wickets and a lot more games, 122 test matches. But he wasn't viewed as someone who would later on be nicknamed as the GOAT. And Australia haven't had a very, storied history when it comes to off spinners. What did Gideon Haigh say about off spinners?
Cricket's rubbish skill.
Yeah, there you go. So that's how off spinners are viewed in Australia. And this guy goes and breaks all records, and he's going to inevitably take 500 wickets in Test match cricket, which I think is a coup. That's how I would describe it. Because again, you look at Nathan Lyon, and just on surface level, you won't think he's the most talented spinner out of the lot, but the numbers suggest otherwise. An average of 31, plays the bulk of his cricket in Australia, relies on the bounce. And he's not the sort of spinner who will come into the attack and just quickly take wickets. He's going to take his time. He's going to kind of, pick his battles wisely and kind of get into the groove, and then the wickets will come as well.
Estelle,
So yeah, I think
who did you have higher, Jadeja or Lyon?
I had Jadeja. These were my top three, but I had Jadeja ahead of Lyon.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I did think about it, but and I think Lyon's been fantastic. But I think if you did a blind taste test of Australian selectors over the last 15 years and offered them Lyon or Jadeja, even though Lyon's a better bowler in Australia than Jadeja, I think they probably would pick Jadeja out of the two because of the kind of impact he can have when the conditions are in his favour, forgetting batting and fielding even. But Lyon is a fantastic bowler in the first innings of Test matches. But Australia has heaps of seam bowlers who are fantastic in the first innings. Yeah. They really want a spinner who's great in the fourth innings, and that's Jadeja, right? So I do think that changes things a little bit.
Fair enough, but I'd also just like to talk about how he does not have a doosra. He just has the regular off spinner, and that's quite amazing how he's managed so many wickets. And also, this guy was a curator, right? He was part of the ground staff. He wasn't supposed to play Test cricket, and here he has played over 100 tests and nearly 500 wickets. So I think my first pick, Nathan Lyon, it makes sense to me. My second pick might surprise you guys because this is not one of those names that you would have imagined to feature high up in this list, but I've gone for Keshav Maharaj.
Ooh.
He's been South Africa's standout spinner for a while now. He has 158 wickets in Test cricket in just 49 tests. And, if you play the bulk of your cricket in South Africa on pitches which aren't conducive to spin bowling, and you average a smidgen under 32 in Test cricket, provide heaps of control. And again, he can dead bat the crap out of the ball when he's batting as well. He's a fighter, and I love how he's very metronomic. There's method behind his madness and consistent lines and lengths. And it's not easy to, hold down your place as South Africa's main spinner for as long as he has. So yeah, Keshav Maharaj is my number 2 pick.
I had him outside my top 5, but my number 4 and my number 5 are a little bit rogue. So it is possible that you've got that right and I've got that wrong. What about you, Estelle? Did you have him higher?
Yeah, I had Keshav at 4 as well. So, I mean, the first 3 are pretty obvious, right? Has to be Ashwin, Jadeja, Lyon. I think from there, it gets a bit tricky. But yeah, I had him at 4 as well, Keshav Maharaj. Am I next?
It's me.
Yeah?
No, it's me now. Then you've got 2. This I'm going to go a little bit rogue here. I've got 2 rogue options, but I think I am going to pick Taijul Islam.
I like it.
He hasn't played enough away from home and struggled a little bit at times when he has played away from home. But I think he's almost impossible to play when the conditions are in his favour. And I'm not the only other. I do have, and I'll let one of you pick the other bowler who I was thinking of for a similar position. But just at least I've seen him play away from home. And, I still thought that he's held up fairly well at times, even if he hasn't starred. But I think he is a fantastic bowler. I think you might have had him recently, Behram, as one of the most underrated players. I think you might have mentioned that of recent times, or someone did to me. So, yeah, I'm going to go with him. Probably a bit of a random one at number 5, but I don't think he's that far away from being the 5th best spinner in the world.
Yeah, no, I think he's, I know that he's 8 shy of 200 Test wickets, which is a huge achievement, especially if you don't play a lot of Test cricket, like Bangladesh barely ever features in the format, right? And he's just played 44 Test matches. An average similar to Nathan Lyon's, that's good enough. He deserves to be there. Wouldn't call it a rogue pick.
We discussed him in, I think, one of the episodes of Uncovered, right? About how...
Oh, might have been, yeah.
because he doesn't play the other formats. He doesn't really get a lot of attention. But like you said, like at home, he's almost unplayable, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay,
right.
so that's me then, right?
That's you times 2.
Yeah, me. Okay. So my number 2 pick, I have to go with Axar Patel. He hasn't had as big a career as the other 2 Indian spinners we picked, obviously. And the reason he hasn't is because of those 2, right? But I just feel like in terms of what he has to offer, I think he could be as prolific as Jadeja if he does get those opportunities. It's just that now it's tough to break into the side. And, it's very hard to see. I mean, India does occasionally play the 3 spinners. But even then, he doesn't really get that much of an opportunity to bowl. But I still think in terms of what he can do, he's definitely in the top 5 spinners in the world right now. So that's my number 2 pick. And my number
Jarrod,
3.
Estelle went double Ian when she was doing commentators.
Now
Is
I
she
went
going to go
double
double
India.
Patel over here? That's what I'm worried about.
No. Okay, so my next one is Prabath Jayasuriya. Yes, he's only played in
Hey.
Gaul. Yes, he's only played in Gaul. But
Yeah.
that's not really his fault, right? Sri Lanka play like 4 5 tests a year. And then just whatever they play at home, they schedule in Gaul. I felt like he's really made the most of the opportunities. He's got 50 wickets in, I think, 21 innings. It's still pretty good, right?
It's
I mean, if you think about it.
59. 59 wickets in 9 games, which
Yeah,
is still incredible.
I mean, he got to 50 in like 20 or 21 innings. So,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken, that was the fastest. He's the fastest to do it in Sri Lanka after Ajaz Mendes. There's a record like that. But yeah, I feel like I know when we go through this list, it's going to be really tough to pick players because there are so few really good spinners in Test cricket at the moment. So yeah, I definitely think he has to be in the top 15, right?
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
mean, I certainly had him. I think I had him roughly where you've picked him. There's a bunch
He
of
was
guys.
my next pick as well.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys I wasn't really sure because I mean, it's my pick now, so I might as well do it. But there was a bunch of guys that I was a bit confused about, and I wasn't sure whether to have him or Jack Leech higher. I think if it was 2 years ago, Jayasuriya I probably would have had higher. But the last couple of years, Jack Leech has bowled really well at times. So I'm going to take Jack Leech next with almost no confidence at all. I think there's certainly one spinner left on the board that is better than him, but just hasn't played enough Test cricket, I think, to jump him. And then there's a couple of other interesting picks for later on that I'm sure we'll talk about. But yeah, I'm going to go Jack Leech with and you can tell in my voice that I'm not even selling it to myself, but I think him and Jayasuriya are about the same for me.
A lot of people complain that I'm not a former cricketer and so that I don't really know the game. Well, you know what they can't claim? That I don't know desks. I've been using desks for years. I'm a collector of desks, old and new, and I am sitting on a new one right now. I am the Don Bradman of sitting at desks. So when I tell you that the E7 Pro next generation height adjustable desk from Flexispot is legit, this is like Michael Jordan talking to you about sneakers. This desk holds 160 kilograms. It is as stable as anything I've ever seen, and it has under desk cable management. But really, the main skill here is that this desk rises and falls at the push of a button, and it moves super quick. And it has so many settings that remember your favorite heights. It really does it all. And I could not recommend the E7 Pro from Flexispot anymore, even though I am currently sitting on one of Flexispot's BS12 Pro multifunctional, adjustable, upgraded fabric, ergonomic chairs. My butt and computer have never been happier than when using one of Flexispot's products. So get over to their page right now for big savings.
Yeah, and Leech show 124 wickets in 35 tests doesn't scream world class, but I saw him bowl in Pakistan, and he was quite impressive.
I
And
think
those
during
weren't
the
wickets
last
that
3
would
years,
help
his
anybody.
record is really good, right?
Yeah, he's had a good couple of years after struggling a lot. I think he's a much better bowler now than he was when he first came into Test cricket.
Also, the injury and the illness that he has to rise up to the occasion and take over 100 wickets for England Test matches with those conditions, I think that's very applaudable.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, is it me now? 2 consecutive picks. I'm surprised that this guy is still up for grabs. So it's going to be an easy, third pick for me. And that is Shakib Al Hasan. Now, 233 test wickets in 66 tests, and he also averages just around 31. So I think Shakib has the miles under him, and he, flatter trajectory, wicket to wicket, doesn't give batters much room, can sneak away with those wickets, and he's been a mainstay in Bangladesh's team across formats. And maybe he's not as celebrated as a test spinner as much as he should be, but that's also partly because Bangladesh play on certain kinds of wickets and don't play test cricket an awful lot anyway. But I think that based on everyone who's left, and if I look at their records, Shakib stands out. And so he's the obvious candidate for my third pick.
The reason he's not in my list is just because he doesn't kind of play all that much anymore. He was, I've even got another Bangladeshi spinner ahead of him, still to come if I need. But yeah, I think if we were doing this 2 years ago, he would be top 5, wouldn't he? It's just that last couple of years, I think he's only played 11 tests in the last 5 years. So he's no longer a mainstay of the Bangladesh test team, is he? Like, he's not the same way that he used to be. Whereas I think outside of Jayasuriya, would everyone else there be fairly major part of their team? Only Jayasuriya and Axar are maybe the only other two. So, a couple of years ago, Shakib would be right at the top, and he's probably just slipped a little bit just because he hasn't played as much.
All right, my fourth pick is a bit of a rogue pick. You guys probably won't agree, but let me tell you one thing. Not a lot of guys in this list that's right in front of me average below 30, and this guy does. And he's got a 10-fer in test match cricket. Yes, I am talking about Ajaz Patel. And he has 62 wickets in 16 test matches, late bloomer, average of 29.75. That 10-wicket haul versus India will remain fresh in our minds. And also, he just won New Zealand a test match in Bangladesh. He took 8 in the game and 6 in one innings. And he, again, you look at him and you not probably view him as an athlete. And yet he's there and taking these wickets. And New Zealand don't have a storied history, once again, of spinners like this. Dan Vittori. And then, mean, I can't even think of another one at this point. So just based on that stuff, another left-arm offie coming through the ranks, looks like a good bloke. And I don't think we're spoiled for choice over here. There's not a lot of options. So just by the process of elimination, I suppose I'm left with Ajaz Patel, and that's why he's pick number 4 for me.
I had him slightly lower, but I don't think it's a bad choice. I mean, he took the 10-fer, obviously, in India. How many was it? A 6-fer against Bangladesh as well recently?
Yep.
It's weird, isn't it? Because he doesn't play at home, but he also, I don't think that's a bad decision. I mean, the one thing you wanted to do 4 picks each because you thought it got really tough at 4 picks, and you're right. Right?
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing 5 picks, because I want to punish both of you. But yeah, I don't think Ajaz is a bad one. I had him slightly lower on my board, but certainly not to the point where I think what you've done is a terrible choice.
I know who your next pick is. I thought about having him ahead of Ajaz, but I don't know. The average wasn't that great considering he plays his cricket at home a lot.
Who's my next pick?
Mahedi Hassan Miraz?
So he's next on my list, but I've been staring at it for a little while because I've got Kuldeep Yadav just behind that. Who doesn't play enough Test cricket, but I find it hard to say that he's not better than some of these guys we've got ahead of him on these lists.
Yeah.
Just that if you play for India, you don't get a chance. I think Mahedi Hassan is a better player than Ajaz Patel. But I'm going to go Kuldeep Yadav. It's ridiculous because he's probably played like 2 tests in the last 5 years, or it's not a lot of tests anyway. But I think he just has to be in the top 15 best spinners in the world. I think it would be unfair to not put him on the list.
That's fair. I can agree to that. Check his numbers. I want to see now.
I think he's played like 2 or 3 tests, right?
It's bad.
Yeah,
isn't it?
not
Do I
more
look like
than
an
that,
idiot
is
here? Has he even played any tests in the last 5 years? I mean, there is something to be said for, the fact that if you have a player who is what's the best way of putting it? Like if you have a player who is stuck behind other teams, like a great Australian pace bowler who is stuck behind a bunch of other players is not going to play, right? But doesn't mean that we don't know that they might not be in the top 10 best pace bowlers in the world. It just, but it just could be a South African thing or an Australian thing where they don't play. He's played 8 tests and he's got a bowling average of 21.
Okay.
He has not played a test since. So he played 1 in 2022 and 1 in 2021. So he took 8 wickets in his last test at an average of 14. I love Mahedi Hassan, and I've got some other younger bowlers here who have been, played a little bit more. But Kuldeep's just better than them. And at a certain point, I can't keep letting him slide because I don't think it's fair.
Fair enough. All right, Estelle, double pick time for you.
Yeah, so I'm going with Mahedi Hassan. Actually thought he, after Taijul, I think he's probably Bangladesh's best strike bowler in terms of spinners. Probably gets a lot more attention in limited overs cricket because he seems to be batting up the order also now. But yeah, again, it's not like we have like prolific bowlers beyond that number 3. So he's definitely in my top 5, Mahedi Hassan. And then my number 5, right? That would be then.
Yeah, your last one.
My last one might be a bit left field. I don't know who to pick between Todd Murphy and Abrar Ahmed because they've kind of played a similar number of tests.
They also look similar.
Oh, yeah, with the glasses, right?
With the glasses, yeah.
Yeah. And I think similar kind of strike rates as well. But I'll go with Murphy just for vibes so that Behram can pick up Brad later.
Maybe Jarrod sneaks him away from me. But Murphy's good, though. 21 wickets in 6 tests at 25.5 is good. He should be in the top 15.
I have Murphy slightly lower, but it's only because I think there is a better not younger spinner, but a better spinner that is overlooked who's also only played a few tests. So I'm going to go with Gudakesh Modi.
I knew it. I absolutely knew it.
So I think I couldn't work out where to put him and Murphy together. I probably think that Gudakesh Modi is better bowler than Ajaz Patel, if we're being honest. But I didn't have him ahead of him because I think, Ajaz has certainly earned that. But I did a thing with CricViz the other night for TalkSport where I said to them, this guy spins the ball so much. Can you check how much he spins it? And in one day cricket, he spins it more than any left-arm finger spinner in CricViz's database, right?
Wow.
And he's not playing in Zimbabwe or Sri Lanka where the ball turns square either. It's West Indies and not all the pitchers have been spinning wickets. So I think he's a fantastic bowler. I don't understand how at the age of 28, he's got this incredible record and he's barely played any cricket. I don't know if he's a late bloomer. He still looks like he's 12, by the way. I still don't believe he's actually. He's got a beautiful traditional way of bowling about him, I think, at times. I really, really like him a lot. And I would have had him ahead of Murphy, but I'm not sure that. I think those two are pretty similar.
I mean, his record is one of the better ones, even though 4 test matches is a small sample size, but he's got 22 wickets at just under 19. Yeah. And I had him on my list. I was actually contemplating of going him ahead of Abrar, but then you picked him, so that makes my job a lot more easy over here. And Abrar Ahmed is probably the only name left that we could take. I can't even think of another spinner at this point.
Simon Harmer?
But Simon Harmer, then again, he doesn't feature all too regularly, does he?
I mean, he's not. I mean, I think Simon Harmer in talent probably deserves to be on this list ahead of other people, but they're not picking him. Tabraiz Shamsi doesn't play Test cricket, and he actually has a fantastic first-class record.
We've got only one wrist spinner, right?
Yeah.
There's no wrist spinner. True. Yeah. I mean, who else would you have as a wrist spinner? There's not a lot out there.
Technically, Yasir still hasn't retired, but Yasir is not good anymore. So
yeah, I mean, Mo and Ellie, no, not a wrist spinner. Mo and Ellie would probably be on this as well.
He's retired.
If he hadn't retired. Matt, how far is Matt Kuhneman away from this list? Right, and no, it's not that he should be on this list. It's just that it gets really tough by the end. You've got Todd Murphy with 6 test matches. How much has Abrar played?
Abrar has 6 test matches, but 38 wickets, and the average is only 31 because they basballed him.
Yeah. And Gudakesh Modi's barely played a game as well. Like, And I've got Kuldeep on my list, who literally doesn't play Test cricket. It gets thin really quickly. And as you said, Estelle, like the wrist spin is gone. None of us picked Rashid Khan, by the way.
Interesting. Yeah. He's not my last pick either. Even after having that reminder, I'm going to go with Abrar because I just feel like he's unique in the sense that he's the reverse Ajanta Mendis. He's a leggy. But then again, he uses his fingers to add variations to the ball, right? He kind of tweaks it like a carom ball, but just with a different grip. So I like that fact about Abrar. And even though there's always the risk of him getting found out at some point, 38 wickets in 6 test matches at 31. Again, he got baseballed, otherwise that average would look a lot better. He's injured currently, I don't know if he'll still be injured by the time this episode comes out, but he won't be featuring off the bat in this Australia versus Pakistan test series. And that's going to be a big miss because Pakistan has a dearth of spinners, right? We haven't taken any Pakistani spinner's name in this episode, and there's reason behind that. And that's because there aren't any, right?
Yeah, you would have to say that Sri Lanka and Pakistan are almost at all-time lows of top-level spin bowlers, right? Whereas, weirdly enough, Australia has the fact that they have 2 on this list, the fact that New Zealand has 1 on this list, is maybe a little bit different. So, Rehan Ahmed is another name that you could throw out there. Washington Sundar, probably, again, if he actually played, would not be too far away. And Simon Harmer is the one that we mentioned before. Dane Peets is playing for them in the next test series, isn't he? He's about to play for America, and suddenly he's playing for South Africa. I think it's a weird list. Once you get past Maharaj, actually, maybe that's not true because I suppose the top 3, top 9, the top 9, and then that's when you get to Mahedi, Kuldeep, and Ajaz Patel. It gets a little bit shakier. But you're right, Estelle. It's finger spinners. It's not as sexy as it should be. But let's go through the full list. Estelle picked Jayasuriya at number 1. No. Oh, no, sorry. Estelle picked Ashwin at number 1. Jadeja at number 2. Jadeja was number 2. Lyon, Maharaj, Taijul Islam, Axar Patel, Prabath Jayasuriya, Jack Leech, Shakib Al Hasan, Ajaz Patel, Kuldeep Yadav, Mahedi Hassan, Miraz, Todd Murphy, and Gudakesh Modi. That's our top 15.
You missed Abrar. You missed my last pick.
Sorry, he's on your pick. I hadn't put him across over.
Abrar Ahmed as number 15.
That's our top 15. Now, you also have to decide whether you like our top 15. You can put your own list in as well. But now you have to vote on the best one. I've been pretty confident all the way through this competition so far. I don't know how confident I feel about looking at my team at the moment. But let's go with Estelle's first. Ashwin, Axar, Jayasuriya, Mahedi Hassan, Todd Murphy.
That's a good one.
I win this one.
It just depends on how people feel about Axar, though, because he hasn't played overseas. Might be the tricky one. But it's strong. Behram has gone for Lyon, Maharaj, Shakib Al Hasan, Ajaz Patel, Abrar Ahmed. Now, Shakib at 3 there, and Ajaz Patel, because he took wickets recently, might give you a little bit of a boost, but it's hard without Ashwin. I think I'm going to come last at this one. Jadeja, Taijul Islam, Jack Leech, Kuldeep Yadav, and Gudakesh Modi. I think mine's a solid working class lot of spinners. I'm not sure it's the sexiest. It might be lucky I went with Kuldeep. Like if I go with Mahedi, I would be fucking dreary, my list. But tell us which one you like best. Have a go. And and that's we've done 4 episodes now. We're flying.
Yeah, and at this point, once this is out, we'll know who's winning this personal battle between us, who's won the most votes over the course of 4 episodes. But whoever has been watching up until this point, we recorded all 4 in a day, by the way. You can probably tell by our clothes. It's been a long one, and I think it's time to call it a day, and this should probably cap off this episode. So like Jarrod said, leave your comments, your top 15 spinners and your top 5, and just vote for who you think won this particular episode of Quick Picks. And we'll catch you again soon next week with another interesting category. That's all for now. Goodbye.
Thanks to the kind folks at Flexispot for looking after my office and my butt by sending me their E7 Pro desk that save your favorite desk heights at a touch of a button. You don't have to crank anything. This thing just finds the height that you like and you can work. And their BS12 Pro chair that supports my posterior while I'm recording, this ad and all my shows. If you need great desks, especially ones that change heights or the best quality chairs, head on over to Flexispot today.